Hello, and welcome to another video. Okay, so this video is also going to be very short, very sweet, very straight to the point. I didn't want to pair it with the money video because some people might want to know about money and then others of you want to know about other things, and I don't want to have to put those two together. But like I said yesterday, I know I have to hurry up with these videos because you're one of two things. You've either already signed your papers, you got your ship date, you know when you're leaving, or you're thinking about it hard, baby. Okay? So this video is probably gonna be more geared towards a person who already has their ship date. They know when they're going to MEPS, honey. You ready to go. I want to give you a little flash of some things that you should look for, how you can slow down your training. And I'm pretty sure you don't want to slow down your training, so I want to let you know how you can't slow down your training. First, we're going to do a disclaimer, and that is always just know that I am making these videos to tell you the real. I'm not trying to sugarcoat anything. I'm not trying to convince you to join the Army. I'm not trying to convince you to not join the Army. I want to let you know what's really going on. I don't want you to be deceived. I don't want you to just go into this thinking like, oh, nothing's gonna, no. Go back and watch some of those other videos. And I'm going to say now what I always say. The possibility of you not having such a great time is very high. The possibility of you getting injured is high too. And no one talked about that. We're going to talk about that in today's video. And I want to, as I tell you, some ways that you could possibly slow down your training. And if that's not what you want to do, you want to know how to not do those things. Number one is getting on profile. Now, I said that the possibility of you getting injured is high, especially if you're a person who has never worked out before, okay? If you're just skinny, like you're just naturally slender and you didn't have to do anything to meet any weight requirements, and you're just like, oh, I meet the weight requirements, let me join the Army. You've never worked out before, you never lifted the weight before, girl, you never did a push-up before, you never ran before, like, the possibility of you getting injured is high. And this is me coming from a person who has been in the environment, and this is also me coming from the perspective of a massage therapist. The possibility of you getting injured when you have never done some of these workouts is high. Okay? And because that possibility is high, the possibility of you getting on profile is high as well. How can you lower your risk? Well, you can start doing some of those workouts at home that I told you about. Definitely running. Running is just hard on the body, especially if you've never done it before. And push-ups. You can start doing that. You can start doing stretching. You can start working on your form. Just start working out and getting yourself together while you're at home. Okay, that is my best form to combat getting injured, but it might still be possible that you get injured. I'll say this, that while I was there, and I don't think she would mind me telling this story, but one of my battle buddies, my friends there, she actually fell with her leg extended off of the back of the truck getting meals. So she was a part of the duty squad, and she fell, and she's still there right now. I hope that she's healed, but she went to Bravo, like they gave her the runaround, honey. And of course, she's been on profile the entire cycle. So for like 10 weeks. She's been on profile for a long time. And it was all because she got injured. And it wasn't even she got injured doing like, one of the workouts. She got injured on being on duty squad. And she was still on profile. So I would say be careful, but even when you're being careful, things just happen. But just know that's one way that your training can be slowed down, and that is you getting on profile. And if you don't know, how do you get on profile? You get on profile by you going to sick call, and some people go to sick call and they be telling lies and they want to get on profile because they don't want to have to like get smoked and things like that. Just know that your profile very well might prevent you from getting some of your graduation requirements done. And because you can't get your graduation requirements done, you could be recycled and you could be there. So your graduating class could be graduated and you could still be there because you're on profile and having to start with another cycle, okay? Or just getting recycled to another battery. Like, that's very possible. Another thing that you might not think about, I saw a kid there who got this done. This happened to him. He was actually on like bed rest, so he had quarters, that's what they call it, when you have to stay in the bay and like away from everybody, because he got his wisdom tooth removed. So things like that, like I'm pretty sure he didn't know that this pain was going to arise while he was at basic training. It's good that they were able to take care of it for him, like it's free of charge, okay? But it caused him to be on quarters for, I believe, 3 days. So imagine if within those 3 days, it was a great time for him to go, but imagine within those 3 days, if it was 3 days worth of graduation requirements, okay? That would have caused his training to be slowed down because he was on profile. His profile said for him to be on quarters for a certain amount of time. You could be on profile that says you can't hold your weapon. They like to do that a lot. And if you're on profile that says you can't hold your weapon, well, all of the range days now, you missed out on that graduation requirement. You could very well be recycled. You have a profile that says you can't climb, okay? That means when you're doing Treadwell Tower, you're doing the confidence courses, like you can't climb, you can't participate. That means you can't do an ACFT. You're missing out on graduation requirements, and that could slow down your training. So in the moment, I know you might have a pain, and I'm not saying don't go to sick call, okay? Especially not if you really, really hurt. But in the moment, if you have a pain, it might be beneficial to hold off on that pain, okay? To do what you can for that pain, like by way of just holding off until you get to a day that is not a graduation requirement, okay? And sick call does not open on the weekends. As far as I know, they can take you to like the off-base hospital, but sick call doesn't open on the weekends. And what you do, so how you go to sick call is, I guess we could talk about this, right? How you go to sick call is you have a little slip, you fill out the slip, you put whatever's wrong with you on it, and you just take it in you give it to the CQ desk. The CQ, they wait for like the sick call person to come, and the sick call person comes, and you go and you wait in the line, and they look at your paper, they triage you, so they take your blood pressure, they ask you, are you feeling like suicidal or anything like that? And then you sit down again, and then you wait to see the doctor. And from seeing the doctor, then the doctor determines what do you need. So you guys know that I had back pain, so the doctor was like, hey, we're going to schedule, I'm going to schedule an x-ray for you. But you have to go to sick call to get the x-ray scheduled. You can't just be like, oh, my back hurt, take me to the TMC where I can get my x-ray. No, the doctor has to do it, okay? So if you get injured, let's say you get injured, he might schedule you to see the MAC trainer, which is basically a place where you do like physical therapy and stuff there. But most of the people go see the MAC trainer are on profile, okay? And some of those profiles, like I said, be careful when you just going into sick call because you don't feel like training that day. Do not, if you don't feel like training, like if this is not something that you don't want to do, just go ahead and let somebody know so we can go through the process of trapping you out. Just don't sit there and be, girl, just don't sit there and be one of those people just literally prolonging this whole thing. You know you don't want to do nothing and you just keep going to sick call because you can get in trouble like that. They call it malingering, okay? So let's move on to the next thing. Another thing that can slow down your training is not being in shape enough to get through the workouts. And I'm going to use the ACFT as an example, but there are other examples. If you failed the ACFT, and I saw this because when I was at Charlie, like I told you guys, I was also with the people who are at Bravo, which is for the people who get injured. But they also, at Fort Sill at least, they have an ACFT program. So let's say you get through all of your graduation requirements, okay? You pass through everything. In your last ACFT, you failed it. Let's say you just failed one part. Let's say you failed your 2-mile run. Well, after everybody's graduating, going off to AIT, you then have to stay at Bravo, even as a graduate, and go through their ACFT program until you pass your ACFT. So who knows how long the program is going to take you. There's different phases to it. They have some very high-tech equipment at Fort Sill. They have they got some nice stuff there. So I know that if you apply yourself, you can do it, but it still is something that will slow down your training. So you're getting paid for it. Remember the pay video. Go watch the pay video. You're still getting paid, so keep that in mind. But just know that that's something that could slow down your training. You're not being able to do some of the things. But nevertheless, you can still get through them, okay? There's still hope. This is another one, and this is just my experience. Like I said, I'm going to be honest here. A drill sergeant just don't like you. My drill sergeant just did not like me. And I can honestly say that if I was there, even though they graduate on Friday, I know for certain that she would have done something that I would be recycled. I would not be graduating on Friday. And I said this because I'm going to tell you a story here in a little bit. But you can just, and people don't like to hear that, but there can just be somebody who does not like you and who just does things and you suffer for them, okay? You have to be recycled. The good thing is you probably be recycled to another battery, and prayerfully you have a drill sergeant there that is not a butthole and, just out to get you, but it can happen. You can be recycled that way, okay? Because the way let's say, let me think of an event that's because some of the events, like if you are at the range, your shot is your shot. You know what I mean? Like, when you're actually shooting, if you're doing the right things, your shot is your shot. No one can skew those results. But let's say you're doing an ACFT, right? And somebody shaves 10 seconds off your time. Well, those 10 seconds can be between you passing or failing. And if the person who doesn't like you is taking down the time, of course they can push those numbers either way. I'm just saying, like, things like that can happen. Don't want to keep you blind in the dark here, okay? Things like that can happen. Just saying, okay? I know I don't want to be the Debbie Downer here, but I don't want to give you all these flower scenarios and not put in here like something that's likely to happen as well, because it happened to me. This is another one. Okay? ND at the range. Okay? Baby, what's an ND? A negligent discharge at the range. This is another scenario that can fall into somebody just don't like you and they say that you did something that you really didn't do, but what can you do? You can't do nothing about it, okay? But let's say you really NDing at the range. Baby, if they didn't get on people about nothing else, I saw at least 3 people get day 0 recycled to another battery, okay? Because they ND at the range. What's an ND at the range? It's a negligent discharge, like I said, but what is that? What quantifies that? You doing something with your weapon that you shouldn't be doing. Like you got your weapon pointed in a way that you shouldn't have it pointed, not downrange. You have your weapon on anything other than what it's supposed to be on, so safe when it's supposed to be on safe. They don't play about that. You know why? Because there are live rounds inside of this weapon, and there are people walking around there. So you could take someone's life. So even if it's a mistake, I get why they do it. So even if you like accidentally fire off your weapon when you're not supposed to, that doesn't matter because your accidentally not paying attention to this could actually be someone's life. So they do not play about a negligent discharge. I have seen it with my own eyes, okay? And the next thing is day 0 recycle. So I'm gonna tell you this story because this kind of goes with the last point. I had a battle buddy there and she was so, oh my gosh, she was so funny. She was so funny. She spoke French. She had an accent and she was just literally like, she was hilarious. But she was day 0 recycled. Now she had almost graduated. She had her graduation uniform and everything. So she had gotten pretty far in the process. And she was day 0 recycled because of an ND on the range. But there were other people. She was like I said, she speaks French. She's African, like she's from Africa, young lady. And there were other people who ND'd on the range, but they didn't get in trouble. And she took it up on herself to be like, well, to point out something that wasn't fair. So not fair treatment was like, well, this person had live rounds inside of their weapon and they didn't get in trouble, but I got in trouble for, I forgot if it was she didn't point her gun down range or something. She was holding the weapon the wrong way, but she didn't have any live rounds in her weapon. So she was like saying like it wasn't fair, and her drill sergeant was like, if you try some EO stuff, which is equal opportunity, which if you don't know, it's like a program that they have rolled out. Girl, I talked about that all in my Why I Left the Army video. But they have this program in EO, and the drill sergeant basically like, if you try some EO bullcrap, I'm gonna make sure that you day 0 recycled. So she's like, okay, like it wasn't fair. They were trying to day 0 recycle her, it wasn't fair. And so she goes into the first sergeant's office, and the first sergeant's like, I mean, you can tell me anything, just let me know, like, this is a safe space kind of thing. Girl, why the first sergeant day 0 recycle her? Because she was going to like file an EO claim. So it's sad, and it really took a toll on her when she was recycled to our battery. And I'm glad I got a chance to meet her because she was so funny. I mean, she was hilarious, but it was really sad. It was sad to see her go through that, and she actually didn't want to be a part of the Army anymore because of that experience. She was like, it's just a racially tense environment. It can be a racially tense environment sometimes, and everyone's not used to dealing with that. Like, you think that because I'm Black and I live in America, I'm used to being like racially profiled, and it's really not true. Like in my everyday life, it's not something that I was used to, and some people aren't used to it. I said before, I never felt so Black before in my life, okay? And I don't mean like, you know what I mean. I never felt that way before in my life, in my 29 years of living. So I just want to make that known. Yeah, she got day 0 recycled. And like I said, she really didn't want to be there at the end, but she was like, I want to prove to the drill sergeant that recycled me that I did it even though she tried to like, do some shady stuff to me, I still made it through, which I have my thoughts on. I don't think that you should ever go through with anything that you don't want to do just to prove a point to someone else. Don't join the army because you want, I know this video ain't about this, but don't join the army because you want to prove to somebody that you can't do it. This is your life. This is going to be a really, really big decision, one that could change your life for the good or bad. Do it because you want to do it. Don't do it because someone's pushing you into do it, whether that's parents or whatever. Just do it because you want to do it. Don't do it because you try to make somebody proud. Because let me tell you what makes somebody proud. People put on this uniform, and I experienced this for myself over holiday block leave. Even though I knew I was chaptering out, when I put on the uniform and I walked into like the airport and just walked anywhere, people are so proud of you when you put on the uniform, but they don't know what the uniform entails, okay? But you do. You know what it entails. You know what that uniform has a totally different meaning to me now from this side, especially if I see, certain people in the uniform, because I know what you're going through to be able to wear that uniform. You know what I mean? But yeah, some people put that uniform on and they put that little badge in the center of their chest and they have such a power struggle, honey. It's hard for them behind that uniform. And just know that some people that it's hard for them behind that uniform, they'll make it hard for you. I just want to be honest. I don't want to sugarcoat it for you, okay? I don't want to sugarcoat. I want to be honest with you. That if you think that you're about to leave home because your mama getting on your nerves so much and you're going to join the army because of that, there's somebody else about to get, and they're about to get on your nerves in a different kind of way, okay? They're about to get on your nerves most of the time without the love that your parent has for you. And that's probably why they're getting on your nerves. They want you to be better and do better. That's not always the case in this scenario. So I just wanted to say that. So I said all that to say you can be day zero recycled for behavior too. It cannot just be for like negligent discharge and things like that. It can be for behavior. So you undisciplined and just throughout the whole basic training, you just refuse to gain the discipline necessary to become a soldier in their eyes. They can day zero recycle. They can day zero recycle you really for everything and anything, okay? If they so choose. But those are things that can slow down your training, okay? And I don't want you to slow down your training, but just know that if you get injured or something that was completely out of your control, and sometimes ND is out of your control, like you're just nervous, because after that happened to the girl, she was literally nervous to go back out there. She was very, very nervous to go back out there. And I was telling her like, don't be nervous, because your nerve is going to be the thing that, doesn't allow you to qualify. You got this. Calm down. That was then, this is now, baby, okay? So, yeah, some things that might happen, some things could happen that are out of your control, and just know that that's okay. Like I said, you're still getting paid for being there, okay? So, as always, if you have a question, ask the question, and I'll see you guys in the next video.